Greetings and salutations to everybody out there in podcast land. This is the Judo Chop Suey podcast, and I'm your host, Judo Dave Roman, coming at you with episode 50. Boy, I really can't believe I've made it this far, to tell you the truth. I figured I would have just hung it up a long time ago, and I'm maybe sure some of you guys were hoping for that. But no matter, I am here behind this wonderful microphone for episode 50. And I don't know, is that a milestone for me? I'm not quite sure. Usually people celebrate in grandiose styles their 50th birthday. People celebrate their 50th anniversaries if they make it that long in grandiose style. So I don't know if this is a milestone for me. I'm going to say that it is, and I'm very proud of that milestone, and I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep rolling on this episode of the Judo Chop Suey podcast. And before I continue with anything else, I would like to apologize for missing the my release schedule. I had to work on the weekend that I was scheduled to do my recording. I had a lot of work to get done with my actual job, my real job, and I just couldn't find time to do the recording and schedule the podcast to be released in a timely manner. I had things that I wanted to cover, so yeah. I want to cover some really big news in regards to the IJF Hall of Fame. And to my surprise, I didn't even realize there was an IJF Hall of Fame. I think that's really cool. And along that discussion of the IJF Hall of Fame, I want to bring up a discussion. It's one of those silly, typical sports debates. Who would be on the Mount Rushmore of Judo? Now, for those outside of the United States, go look up Mount Rushmore on Google. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I would also like to highlight a very special promotion to JudoCon by the United States Judo Federation. That's a bit of news that I just found out a couple of days ago. Some really big news coming out of Korea ahead of the Kim Jong-un summit with President Trump. I'm not going to get into politics, but there's something related to that I wanted to discuss that is judo related. And I also want to get into a throw that I was just practicing the last time I trained with my good friend Judo Joe Kaiser. And I want to just have a discussion on learning from Sensei YouTube. But before I get into all of that, I've got my housekeeping items. For those that are new to this podcast, the housekeeping items is where I typically talk about anything not related to judo, usually what I'm watching on TV or what kind of new shows I've gotten my attention or what movies I've seen lately. Well, for this housekeeping items, I'm not going to talk about anything about that. I'm going to actually continue to talk about judo, but it's not going to be specific to judo training. Now, what I want to talk about is a product that I think would be very important to all of us grapplers, whether you're doing judo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu or sambo or really any sport that involves the use of your hands. Well, maybe not any sport, but grappling sports. Now, before I talk about this product, I want to make it absolutely clear that this company is not a sponsor of the podcast. I'm going to do this as a one-time thing because I think what they are selling is way too important for me to pass over and not mention it to the judo community just because I'm not making a buck off it. I actually approached this company about whether or not they'd be interested in advertising on the podcast. I kind of got one of those, thanks, don't call us, we'll call you, that type of thing. And that's okay. I'm not offended by that. But I'm only going to mention their product once. I'm not a good businessman, so I probably shouldn't even be doing this because it's not benefiting me. But you know what? It's going to benefit all of you. Guys, there's a product called Grappz. Grappz. Now, I haven't used this yet. What it is this glove that you can wear where instead of taping your fingers, these gloves, you slide on your hands and, you do like the typical Spock Vulcan greeting or whatever. It slides on your hands. It separates your index and middle finger and your ring finger and your pinky finger. And from what I understand, it's supposed to keep those fingers close together as if you tape them. And that's their tagline here, never tape your fingers again. And from what I've seen on the videos and such, it looks pretty cool. And like I said, This goes beyond me making a couple of bucks, you know, on an advertising agreement. I think this is very important for judo, sambo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys out there. If you're sick and tired of taping your hands to go to practice or to do grip fighting, you might want to check these out. Now, I don't think these are IJF approved, and I can't speak to sambo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments. I highly doubt you could wear Grappz at any sanctioned event, whatever event is in your country. I just can't imagine you can wear this out there. But for regular training, I think this can be a real finger saver. So their website is getgrappz.com. https:// getgrappz.com. And it's only $29.95 for a pair of gloves. Now, I was expecting when I went on the order page, yeah, okay, so I'm going to have to pay, you know, darn near $30 for my right hand and $30 for my left hand. No, it's $30 for both hands, and I just, that's a tremendous deal. I mean, if I go to a local CVS, I think I probably have to pay $8 to $10 for just regular tape, you know, and that, I mean, yeah, that'll last me several months, and then, you know, when I run out, I got to get it again. But you know, this stuff, you never have to tape your fingers again, like the ad says. So check it out. Like I said, this is going to be my only advertisement for them. But I feel like I would be remiss if I did not talk about this product for the judo community. I think it's a great product. And yeah, if any of you guys order it, let me know how it goes. Let me know what you think if you guys already have it. Yeah, feel free. If you want to let me know, you can send an email to judochopsuey@gmail.com. You can always follow me on Instagram at La Vida Judoka. My Instagram is awesome. I've also got a Twitter at La Vida Judoka. That's not nearly as awesome. And I've also got a Facebook page if you want to search for me on Judo Chop Suey Podcast. You can get to my Facebook page. And if you just want to be friends with me online, you can also search for, I think it's David Roman. I rarely look at my Facebook, but I use it to communicate with people that are part of the Judo Black Belt Association, AAU Judo, Freestyle Judo. I'm on Facebook a lot more now, simply because I like to read the latest posts put up by Steve Scott and that Judo Black Belt Association. So yeah, if you wanna reach out to me, feel free to do that. Now, speaking of the Judo Black Belt Association, I wanted to make an announcement for anybody in the United States that may be interested. On November 2nd and 3rd, Steve Scott at his Welcome Mat Judo Club is going to be hosting a JudoCon. It's called JudoCon. It's a judo conference for all enthusiasts of judo, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, whatever grappling styles you're interested in. There's going to be a JudoCon to discuss various things about our sports. From what I understand, there'll be discussions on coaching, coaches' education, various clinics on specific throws, clinics on how to run a successful dojo, and from what I understand, there's actually going to be a clinic on leg locks for anybody that's interested. And I also believe that there's going to be Nawaza-specific clinics as well, and for anybody that is a part of the Judo Black Belt Association and AAU Judo, I believe there will be time for anybody that is interested to test for their next rank. They'll have that opportunity there. So I wanted to bring attention to this because I think this kind of thing is fantastic. Now, I know I've talked about the Judo Black Belt Association before, but ever since I've joined, I've just been really impressed with the organization. Let me just say this. And I'm not bashing any of the other organizations. Please, guys, for anybody that's in a leadership position, I'm not bashing anybody or anything. In terms of social media presence, I think the Judo Black Belt Association is a very vibrant community online. And I don't know if I can really say the same thing about the other three organizations in the United States. When I go to the Facebook page for USA Judo, or the USJA or the USJF, it's just not nearly as vibrant. Now, perhaps there are specific discussion pages and forums that I am not aware of for those organizations, but for Steve Scott's organizations, and it's not just his organization, it belongs to all of us that are members, but for the International Freestyle Judo Alliance and the Judo Black Belts Association, you've got people from all over the country, really all over the world, sharing videos, having discussions, talking about training tips. Like, it's just a very vibrant online community. It's something that I've always felt has sorely lacked in judo. Not so much in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, obviously, but definitely in judo. The only other active, place for discussion that I'm aware of online is on Reddit in terms of judo. Now, I know there's other judo forums that are not in the English language, but I'm specifically talking about people in the English language who speak English and are from English-speaking countries. And I'm not trying to alienate anybody. It's just, look, I speak English. What can I say? But as far as an online community, it's just really vibrant. It's fantastic. I know there's another fellow on YouTube who does a great job with videos. His name is Samson. He runs the Judo for All judo organization, and I think he does great videos. And of course, Steve Scott is constantly posting videos on his YouTube page. And look, guys, I'm not telling you all of this just to pump up the Judo Black Belt Association. I just wanted to share with you guys my impressions of the organization over the past couple of months, and wanted to share if anybody's interested in joining this JudoCon. It's in Kansas City, Missouri. Again, it's going to be at Steve Scott's Welcome Mat Training Center. And it's during November 2nd and 3rd. That's a Friday and a Saturday. So I am definitely going. I already have my tickets booked. I already have my hotels reserved. And I already got my car reserved. So I am going to be there come hell or high water. And I know some of the people that listen to this podcast will be there as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you people, all you fine folks. And if you're interested in learning more about the JudoCon or about the Judo Black Belt Association, feel free to reach out to Steve Scott. I think if you go to www.judoblackbelt.com, all the information will be there. Again, this is not a paid promotion. I just wanted to share that with you all. It's time for my favorite segment of the Judo Chop Suey podcast. What time is it? Listener reaction. I had some nice listener reaction over the past few weeks from, between my email and Instagram and such. I wanted to highlight a couple of people. Shout out to Dion out in Australia. Thank you very much. And I got this nice short but sweet email. Goes as follows. As always, great show. As I was listening to the ref money discussion, I couldn't help but think that sometimes you get what you pay for. Yeesh. Boom, mic drop there. So first off, thank you for your email and for listening. Now, I don't know if that was directed to USA Judo or some other smaller judo organization. If that was related to the IJF, well, I don't know. I think the refs on the IJF World Tour are fantastic. I really believe that. I really do. Judo is not easy to referee at all, and I think they get the call right most of the time. And by most of the time, I mean 99% of the time. I really think they do an outstanding job. And like I touched on the last episode, I'm shocked that the refs don't get any sort of compensation. And I gotta believe that there is some benefit, whether it's rank or prestige or something, to being a referee at that level. I could not find myself, even if I didn't have kids or if I didn't have any debts or a house payment or anything, I couldn't justify spending thousands upon thousands of dollars to travel to different tournaments, to be self-funded just to referee. I couldn't justify it. I mean, yeah, maybe I could do it once or twice a year, and I plan on doing that, especially supporting AAU Judo, but I certainly couldn't get out to 6 or 7 events a year, and I know some of these referees are doing a lot more than that. And I touched on this on the last episode, and I'll say it again. If the IJF wants to tout itself as a major sports organization and make these claims that they've got, 1 billion eyeballs watching your product, then you got to start paying the athletes and paying all the people involved in promoting that product some sort of wage. I mean, every other major sports organization, at least the ones that I know of anyway, they pay their officials, and they get paid pretty well. I know NFL referees, I know they get at least $100,000 a year. And that's to work, a 3-hour game once a week. Now, granted, I know NFL referees, they have to fill out reports. They've got to do a whole bunch of things. It's probably a 50-hour-a-week job just outside of officiating the game. But baseball has umpires that they get paid professionally. They get paid pretty well. Obviously, basketball, I'm certain soccer officials get paid very well. Basically, even if they don't get paid well, they got to get paid something. I mean, to be self-funded, that's a big burden. I don't know. I salute anybody that is willing to spend that kind of money to officiate judo or tournaments. And I am not, again, I said it in my last episode, I'm saying it again, I am not being critical of anybody that makes a choice to spend money out of their own pocket to volunteer to be a judo official at any tournament around the world. I teased an announcement earlier in the episode about a new inductee into the IJF Hall of Fame. Now, let me say right from the get-go, I had no idea the IJF even had a Hall of Fame. I mean, most major sports organizations have their respective Hall of Fames. I mean, heck, even the WWE has a Hall of Fame. But I did not know the IJF had a Hall of Fame, and its newest inductee into the IJF Hall of Fame is Jimmy Pedro. So congratulations to you, Jimmy. I think that's fantastic news. The ceremony is going to take place on September 18th in Baku, Azerbaijan. And that's going to coincide with the World Championships that is happening in that city. So obviously that's going to be an event that I'm going to be paying very much attention to. And I'm hoping the ceremony itself will be broadcast on YouTube, as the IJF normally broadcasts all of its, or most of its events on the world tour. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they'll have the event broadcasted and streamed. I did a little digging on the IJF Hall of Fame, and I did manage to find some information. Turns out it was right on the front page of the IJF's website. Oh my goodness. I probably knew about the IJF Hall of Fame, but just completely forgot about it. So what I'm going to do for the benefit of all of you, I'm going to run down real quickly who is in the Hall of Fame. Going in order, Jigoro Kano, Anton Giesing, Charles Palmer, George Kerr, Franco Cappelletti, Peter Seisenbacher. That guy should probably be removed. Kosei Inoue, David Dewey, Ezio Gamba, Jean-Luc Roux, Thierry Ray, Patrick Hickey, Robert van der Waal, Muhammad Ali Rashwan, Ryoko Tani, Ingrid Bergmans, who just got promoted to Rokudan, if I'm not mistaken. Congratulations to you, Ingrid. Vladimir Nezrayov, Willem Ruska, Aurelio Fernandez Miguel, Hector Rodriguez, Neil Adams, Haruki Omera, Yasuhiro Yamashita, Shota Chokishvili, Ki Dion, Dr. Karen Briggs, Julius Gonzalez Morales, Gela Van de Calle, Soraya Haddad, Maria Pekel. Yeah, so that's the IJF Hall of Fame right there. So congratulations to you, Jimmy, for making it on that esteemed list. Now, earlier in the podcast, I talked about who would be in my Mount Rushmore of judo legends. And to tell you the truth, because I've been lying this whole time, I'm not sure who I would put on there. Well, obviously, you got to start with Jigoro Kano, right? And listen, by the way, I am thoroughly unqualified to even have this discussion, but this is just for fun. This is typical, like, barroom type stuff that you have with your buddies sitting around the table or something while drinking a few beers. Like, who's the greatest of all time? So this is going to be my list, completely uneducated. So if you want to slam me, you want to send me what your Mount Rushmore of judo legends are, you can only have 4. And really, you can't have a Mount Rushmore of judo legends without Jigoro Kano. So you're really left to picking 3. In my mind, you cannot have a Mount Rushmore of judo without including Kyuzo Mifune. And for me, on a personal note, when it comes to another person that I would have put on there, it would be Tokyo Hirano. I just, in terms of a Mount Rushmore of judo, you can't leave those three names off, at least in my opinion anyway. So that really leaves one spot. And sorry, Jimmy, you're not it. And I'm not really sure who I'd put up there. I mean, I've got three judo legends, but don't I have to have a competitor up there? Do I dare put Teddy Riner up on that list? I know there are many out there even throwing up at the idea of putting Teddy Riner on the Mount Rushmore of judo, but who else would I put up there? I could put Yamashita up there. I could put Neil Adams up there for his continued contributions to judo. I think I'd be okay with Riner or Neil Adams up there. Gosh, who would I put up there? Who's the fourth guy? I just don't know. That's such a tough call. I think, for me, the other three are a lock. I don't know. The safe pick is Yamashita, in my opinion. The more controversial one, who is also equally as deserving, would be Teddy Riner. And to be absolutely clear, I only say it's controversial because there's many people out there that don't think very highly of Teddy Riner's judo ability, if you can believe that. And I also guess the controversy could come down to the question of, can a great athlete also not be a great judoka? I mean, personally, I am in no position to be critical of really anybody's judo, especially anybody's on the IJF's World Tour. But truthfully, sometimes I wonder how good Riner would be if he was competing in the under 66 kilo division. Look, I think the best today across any division is Hifumi Abe right now. I think he is the best on the tour. And I think he's got the best judo. I think he's got the best technique. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's fair to knock a big guy for being big and strong and dominant, physically dominant. Does he have better judo than Yamashita in his prime? I don't know. I can't really make that call. I'm sure some of you older gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen out there that watch both of them fight could make a better argument than I could. Going back to that fourth person on the Mount Rushmore, one could easily put Ryoko Tani up there as well. I mean, without question. But I don't know who's going to be that fourth one. I'm going to play it safe and say it's Dr. Roddy Ferguson. Now, moving along, I would like to highlight a very special promotion. And I just found out this bit of news just a few days ago. And to be honest, I am not very familiar with this person. But look, anybody that gets promoted to Judan by any judo organization, it is worth taking a moment of a moment to pause and give that person recognition for a lifetime of accomplishment. The United States Judo Federation has recently promoted Hauro Imamura to the rank of Judan. Now, from what information I have gathered, Imamura-Sensei has been the head sensei of Fresno Judo Club out in Fresno, California. I'm only making that distinction because there could be other Fresnos in the country. And he's had a tremendous judo career. He was the team captain for the Tenri University Judo Club in Japan, where his team won the All Japan University National Championships in 1956. While attending university, he managed to become an exchange student and made his way to Fresno, California, which is evidently where he laid his roots down and has been a fixture in that judo community for decades. And to be clear, not just the community, but for the entire country as well. I mean, he was one of the U.S. National judo coaches in the 80s and 90s. He probably went to a couple of Olympics. And from what I understand, he's really been a key figure in Japanese and American relations within judo. Now, look, guys, I mean, I'm just glossing over some of his accomplishments here. If you want to have the full story, you could visit Fresno Judo's website, fresnojudo.org, and take a look at the biography section of Imamura-Sensei. So once again, congratulations to you. Very well-deserved honor. And it is the USJF's second promotion to Judan. So they don't give her out that rank very lightly. And that makes sense because when I think of all the judo organizations, the three major ones in the United States, I've always had the impression that the USJF tends to promote it or protect their ranks with a lot more scrutiny than perhaps the other organizations. Again, that's just an observation based on nothing. That's just my impression. Maybe that's not true at all, but that's just my impression. I want to talk about a little bit of training that I've been doing over the past, well, not just the past couple weeks, but for a while now. I've made it known that I've been practicing my Nage no Kata, which is something that I really haven't dedicated much time to prior to the past month or so. And I am trying to explore throws that I really never even touched, to be honest with you. And one of those throws is Yoko Wakare. The last time I did some training with Judo Joe, who is, not only is he going to appear on the podcast soon, but he's going to tell us all about the training camp that he was at over in Mexico, in Quintana Roo. For those of you following him on Instagram, you can see all the pictures that he's been posting. They're excellent. But Joe has been a great training partner for me. And he's close to my size. He's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit stronger or taller. Well, he's probably stronger too, but he's definitely a little bit taller. And most importantly, when it comes to having a training partner, he's somebody I trust. And I can't say the same for everybody, especially, certainly especially beginners. But I can't say the same thing for every single Shodan that I've ever trained with. There have been people that I've come across that I don't trust. I don't trust them throwing me. I don't trust trying new techniques with them. It's just sometimes, if you're trying to learn something, sometimes you just really need to work with people that you trust so that you don't get injured or hurt or they do something unexpected. And, it's not that way with most people that are advanced rank, but certainly sometimes you come across people that you just know they're just not good training partners. But Joe is not one of those people. Joe understands the kind of throws that I'm looking to do. He understands what kind of feel that I'm looking for. He understands how to be a good uke for me. So probably about a week or so ago, Joe and I worked on Yoko Wakare. Well, first off, we had our no-gi judo session, which was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. And again, I'm enjoying doing no-gi more and more. I think it's really improving my judo. It's improving my feel. And I think it's going to be beneficial for me long term. So we were practicing Yoko Wakare, the different ways to do it in no-gi. And we were practicing the traditional way in the gi. Now, to be clear about this, I have literally not had one single formal lesson on Yoko Wakare. I learned the finer points of Yoko Wakare from Sensei YouTube. And what I mean by Sensei YouTube is basically learning techniques and such from various YouTube videos on the web. Now, I think having the lesson on doing Yoko Wakare from a 2-on-1 grip prior to doing it from a traditional sleeve lapel grip with the gi on, because I was practicing it with no gi, I think that did help a lot with my footwork and such and how the throw is supposed to feel. But ultimately, it is different in the gi. And when I attempted to do the throw, I nailed it on my first try. Literally, the very first try I ever practiced with that throw, I nailed it. At least in my opinion, I did. It certainly felt right. What I mean by feeling right, what a throw should feel like, and Joe said that it felt right going over, and that was that. Now, prior to practicing this with Joe, I told him, look, I'm going to do a few practice entries before I execute the actual throw, and I told him, hey, whatever you do, make sure you protect yourself, because I don't think I'm going to flub this throw, but just in case something gets all squirrely, make sure you're protecting yourself. And I think that's really an important thing, obviously, that if you're taking throws for somebody, you got to learn how to protect yourself. Now, earlier in that class, in the no-gi portion of it anyway, there were a couple of other guys that were practicing. And look, if you guys happen to be listening, I'm not calling you out. I'm just using what happened as an example of not only what happens when TuneIn experienced people practice new techniques, but if neither of the people know how to protect themselves while taking falls. One fellow, unfortunately, and it's nobody's really fault, it just, the way that his training partner went in for the throw, it was a little bit awkward, and sometimes you just don't know how to take those falls if you're a beginner. And he ended up kind of landing on the back of his head in an odd way, and I'm sure he probably had a very sore neck for the following couple of days. He toughed it out like a trooper and finished the class just fine. I mean, he wasn't in pain, but I know even at his younger age, he'll feel that for the next couple of days, or he was going to anyway. So where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I told Joe, look, make sure you protect yourself. I'm sure you'll be fine, but God forbid I screw this up. But I didn't. The throw went well, and it just made me reflect a little bit that at my level and at my experience, or I should say at my experience level, learning new techniques from YouTube, things that I've never done before in terms of throws, can be a very valuable tool for me, especially if I want to develop in judo in a way that I simply can't at my current club. And I don't mean that critically. It's just I'm an assistant at that club, and I'm not going to be teaching the kids Yoko Wakare. That's just not going to happen. And I think it was the first time that I went to YouTube to learn a throw that I've never been taught. It's one thing to look at YouTube videos to practice grip fighting strategies, or maybe a certain sweep from guard, or maybe a way to get an arm bar. I think it's pretty safe to watch videos and try some of that stuff. But I just think with throws, it's very different. For example, if a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wanted to try some kind of sweep to arm bar on me, I would have no problem with that at all. But if a white belt in Judo, or heck, or even somebody with a little more experience, like somebody like a Yonkyu or a Sankyu, wanted to try some throw that he's never done before that he saw on YouTube, I'd probably be very leery about letting that person try it. There's just no way. But for somebody that is experienced, that wants to try something new and wants to try a different entry perhaps to a technique they already know, or try something else new entirely, I mean, I'm finding that YouTube has become a tremendous resource for me. And I'm sure for many of you, I'm just stating the obvious. But look, I'm trying to get better at Nage no Kata. And right now, I don't got anybody to go to learn it. And even if I did, I got to figure out scheduling and figure out time and this and that. And look, like I already said way earlier in the episode, that I had to work last weekend. There's some times that I have to work on the weekends, or I have to work late at work, and my time is limited. So when I have to make opportunities to do things and to learn things that I don't know how to do quite well. And if I visit a club, I'm not going to sit there and say, hey, teach me Yoko Wakare. Especially when the instructor has an agenda of their own. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to have to find training partners and be like, hey, take the fall from me on this. It's going to happen. It's going to work this way. I'm going to do this. You're going to go this direction. Just make sure you tuck your head and slap out and be safe. Now, for example, take a throw like ukiwaza. Again, that's another throw I have literally never done in my life. I mean, when I look at it, it looks like a throw that I can do. And if I can find an instructional on YouTube, you better believe that I'm going to, watch that over and over, pause it, see where the instructor's hands are, see where the instructor's leg placement is, see what direction he or she is looking when executing the throw, have a good understanding of where uke is supposed to go and how uke is supposed to land. I guess ultimately, whether this is a good thing or whether it's a bad thing, I'm at the point in my own life where I have to take hold of my own judo development. And I am now responsible for my own judo development. I don't really have anyone saying to me, okay, you need to learn these techniques in order to progress to the next rank, you need to be able to do this, you need to be able to do that. I don't have anybody currently saying anything like that. So now it's on me. And if I want to get better at judo, it's apart from just practicing and doing randori and things like that. If I want to develop in a way that I want to develop, I got to take the bull by the horns and do it by myself and grab as many training partners as I can and do what I can. I mean, think of it. 12 years in judo, not one formal lesson in Yoko Wakare. And I'm not getting any younger, so look, like I said, it's on me to learn the techniques that I need to learn for my own progress and to be able to teach in the future, which I would like to do one day. But if I leave it up to the way things are, I might wait another 15 years or 12 years to learn ukiwaza, and I'm not going to allow that to happen anymore. There's a bit of historical news that I wanted to cover. Now, by the time this episode releases, President Trump would have had his summit with Kim Jong-un of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, otherwise known as North Korea, which, regardless of your political persuasions, you got to admit that that's a pretty significant event in U.S. history for sure, and world history at that, for that matter. But as I said before, this episode is not going to be about the politics of the United States and North Korea. This is going to be about judo, and what I wanted to talk about is a judo-related news bit, somewhat related to this summit, not directly related, but I came across an article on the IJF written by a Mr. Mark Pickering, and it's headlined, Unified Korean Judo Team to Make History at East Asian Championships. Now here's the article. Judo is set to unite the Republic of Korea and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea under one flag for the first time in a summer sport, as a unified team will make history by competing at the East Asian Championships in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia this weekend. And by this weekend, they're talking about the weekend of June 9th and 10th. IJF President Marius Weiser held a joint meeting with Mr. Pak Hak-yong, Democratic People's Republic of Korea Judo General Secretary, and Mr. Cho Young-chul, Korean Judo Association Vice President, on the occasion of the Hohhot Grand Prix in May to discuss a unified team being formed for the World Judo Championships 2018 in Baku, Azerbaijan this September. These talks paved the way for the two neighbors to agree to link up this weekend, and negotiations for both sides to join up in Baku are still on course. The East Asian Championships Organizing Committee met in the State House on Wednesday to finalize their plans for the event and revealed that over 200 judoka will compete and announced that the Republic of Korea and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea will unite under the same flag for the men's and women's team event on Sunday. And that's 5 judoka per team. The unified Korean team will compete alongside China, Chinese Taipei, Hong Kong, Japan, and Mongolia, and will use Arirang, a Korean folk song, as their anthem. Korea's unified flag will adorn the judogi of their athletes. Mr. Baltuga Kaltma, president of the Republic of Mongolia and of the Mongolian Judo Association, will open the competition on Saturday. Now, look, I think that's really fantastic stuff, and I have been critical of the IJF's relationship with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. I know last year they were going to hold the Youth World Championships in Pyongyang, I believe. I can't remember if it was Pyongyang or another city in North Korea, but at the time, with the global tensions regarding North Korea, I really thought it was a terrible idea. And I'll just say this, going back to the meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, I'm really stunned that we're at this point just a year later. This is just stunning to me. It's really amazing. I don't know what to say in regards to that, because it's just an event that I just never believed would happen. But it has happening, and that's reverberating throughout different areas of our global community, including our small global community in judo. And I just think that's a great thing. I think it's great for both sides of North and South Korea. And I really hope that all parties involved can work toward a peaceful resolution. And I just really think that'll benefit the people of North Korea over the long term. And again, I'm just really happy to see this happening in my lifetime. And it gives me hope. It gives me hope that if this can happen between the United States, North Korea, and South Korea, that this can happen between the United States, Israel, and Palestine working toward a stabilization in the Middle East, and that affecting judo competitions in that region so that countries like Israel can still represent their country with their flag and their anthem playing. And look, if Kim Jong-un, of all people, can make an example and step up to the table and negotiate properly, then perhaps the officials at the United Arab Emirates Judo Federation can make concessions and allow Israel to fly their flag and play their national anthem when they stand up on the podium. Now, I know officials from United Arab Emirates apologized for what happened over that weekend last year. And I can only hope that that's just the start of that icy relationship thawing for the benefit of everybody at these tournaments moving forward. All right, I think that's going to do it for me today. Once again, I'd like to apologize for the delay in getting this episode out again. Work, all that kind of stuff, working on weekends. And then not only that, but mowing the lawn and doing a whole bunch of yard work and just my regular life as a whole with all my kids and such. And speaking of kids, I would like to give a special shout out to my son, who was very helpful with me this weekend. I've told you guys before, I mentioned it earlier, that I'm working on Nage no Kata, and I wanted to get some work in over the weekend, and I was really desperate. I didn't want to drive all the way out to meet up. Actually, Joe is out of town anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I wanted to practice certain throws in Nage no Kata, but I didn't have a training partner, so I decided to use my son, who does not do judo at all. But he was very willing to help me. I told both my boys, I said, look, I'm trying to get better at this, but I don't really have training partners. It would mean a whole heck of a lot to me if you guys would be willing to help me over the weekend and in the oncoming weekends and such. And they were willing. And, I didn't force them. I asked, and they said that they were willing. And I brought one of my sons to the club, and we worked on certain things for an hour. He took falls. And I used a crash pad. Like I said, he doesn't do judo, but he does know the basics of ukemi enough that he can be thrown on a crash pad and not get hurt. And it was a little awkward only because he doesn't know how to move in a judo way. But I remember reading a blog post or hearing Travis Stevens. I can't remember if I read it or I heard it in a video, that Travis Stevens once prepared for a tournament using some 6-month white belt, because that was all he had. So he didn't go into details on how this newbie helped him out prepare for a tournament, but his overall point was that you have to make do with what you have. And Travis did it, and I figured, hey, if it's good enough for Travis, it's good enough for me to try and improve my own judo. And I know there's some people out there that would say, well, a white belt is just a throwing dummy, so it's okay. And in some regards, that's kind of true. But honestly, I was taking good care of my son, and he was very helpful. He was very receptive to instructions, and he did the best that he could. Now, I know when practicing certain throws with Nage no Kata, a lot of it depends on uke and his or her ability to be a good uke. And while there may have been a couple of rough spots, overall, he did the job admirably, excuse me. So I am very grateful to him. I posted the video of me practicing one of the throws on my Instagram, which is @LaVidaJudoka. I've said it before, my Instagram's awesome. So again, son, I know you're not going to listen to this, but thank you very much. I'll never forget it. Honestly, I'll never forget it. It means a lot to spend any quality time on the mats with my son. And it's just great. Just one of those father-son things that I'll never forget. And it's important to create those type of memories. And I do all the time, don't get me wrong, but it's extra special when one of my sons does something out of their element to spend time with me, rather than me doing something out of my element to spend time with them. Which, again, I've said before many times, I don't force my kids to do judo. I never have. If they're interested in it, they can. If they're not, they don't have to come. So, again, I'm very grateful. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap things up here. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Train hard. Stay safe out there. And until next time, I'm out.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.